Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about HRE and how you can play HRE three different ways. It's going to be the classic fast castle, the classic Feudal Age Aggression, more of a new build, but it's really strong. And then it's going to be two town center HRE. So you've got the triad, you've got two town center boom, you've got the fast castle, you've got the aggro. Really solid builds. HRE is one of those very simple civs that's got a really solid economical bonus in terms of their inspiration, yielding them a large extra amount of resources, so you get some really nice timings on whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether that's aggro, two town centers, or fast castle. So as usual, build orders are in the description. You can check them out. They're fully transcribed, and you can follow along with them as well. I really recommend that. I should try to practice with these, and yeah, good luck with it. Alright, so the first build we're going to be taking a look at is the 1TC Aggression. This is one of the strongest aggressive builds that you can go for with any civilization. It's quick, it's fast, it's very potent, as you can get up towards 40 units, if not 50 units at around 10:30 into the game. You have really good macro. This will be such a breeze for you to just go through the ranks and, just rack up those good W's. So that's what we're going to take a look at here. What you're going to be doing is the same Dark Age opener as with any of the builds that I'm going to show you today. What you're going to be doing is send 3 to food. You're going to send 3 over to build a mining camp, a house, and a gold. What I like to do is to have 2 build the mining camp, then like 1/3 over the way through, take 1 of the gold vills, or build the vills and then put them to gold, and then have that other one build the house, then go to gold. So it's a 3-3 split. So you have 3 in food and 3 in gold. These here will stay here all the way until you are age 2. So it's pretty simple that way. You're just going to be rallying onto food with your town center and just get as many vills and food as possible. Around 2 minutes, you're going to be able to age up. So it's as simple as that. You want to try to position your sheep towards the woodline, as we're always going to be putting our Aachen Chapel, which is what we're going to be using here, towards the woodline. So we're going to leave 2 tiles of space in between Aachen Chapel and sheep. So try to have your sheep already positioned that direction so that the sheep are also affected by the influence of the Aachen Chapel. When you're sort of like done here, you're settled with your gold vills, you can take your prelate and you move him over to the gold vills. What you want to be doing here is to inspire these vills once. I don't want you to forget about this. This is quite important. You just got to inspire them once so that they get their inspiration, and then you send the prelate back. So it's only once. Yeah. That's going to give you that sharp 2-minute timing that you need. And it's going to be an Aachen Chapel. You're going to put that Aachen Chapel towards the woodline always. If you can get gold, that's nice, but you shouldn't go out of your way to get other resources than wood, because the wood is what you're going to be using most in this build order. When it comes to inspiring something like gold vills, you probably just want to build another prelate at around minute 5. That's usually a really solid way of doing that. All right, so as you can see here, we're going to be looking to our gold. We just dropped off when we went below 3,800. And then we put down our Aachen Chapel. 2 tile space. So we have space for farms. We built this with 4. Built the Aachen Chapel on the wood. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to take 1 goldville, put on the straggler tree. We're going to leave 4 in food. And then we're going to rally onto wood until we have 6 on the straggler tree. And as you can see, I've already queued up on the wood line afterwards. So once they're done with this straggler tree, they will go to the wood line. And so what you'll end up having is 2 on gold, 4 on food, and then you're going to rally on wood until you have 10 on wood in total, including the villagers that are aging up here. So this gives you a perfect timing where you are essentially just gathering the straggler tree. Once they're done with that, they will go to the wood line over here instead. So gives you a really nice timing with the Aachen Chapel being done. So we come around here. Sheep are getting dropped off. Try to position the sheep towards the woodline as well. You don't ever want to position sheep out here. Just have them go into the TC, and then you're going to be absolutely fine here. You want to scout your opponent. What are they going to do? Take a look at, are they going to do aggression, 2 town center, fast castle themselves? Because it can sort of, have an impact on how you're going to go about your upgrades. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. On age up, you take your prelate, you put him inside the chapel, and you build a barrack and a house with your gold vills. So you won't quite have enough gold to go for the spear upgrade yet, or the wheelbarrow. You're going to aim to get the wheelbarrow first. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to slowly build farms, but we first want to get a barrack and an archer range going. These buildings have to be constantly producing, but you don't really want to rack up a long queue of units in them. Try to just be as efficient as possible and have 1 unit in queue all the time. Build your buildings more towards your town center. It's just so that you don't get your units locked down should you lose control early on. Then build a mill, and then get the wheelbarrow afterwards. I'm starting off with a man-at-arm here. It's nice to go man-at-arm spear, interchangeably that way, so you have a 50-50 comp. But if your opponent's playing more cavalry, you can just play more spear. If your opponent's playing more archers, you can just play man-at-arms archers instead. So that's something to think about when you make your comp here. So we can see we almost have enough for our wheelbarrow. We've added in one farm, and we're just adding in the farms with our sheep bills. So this is a really good way for us to balance our economy. We have those 10 on wood. That's going to give us enough wood to get more production buildings and more farms and the archers we need. And then slowly we're going to have the farms. We're going to have a setup where we don't need to go out on the map, whilst it's still very, very efficient. So whilst there are some HRE players that like to play the map, we don't really need to, because our farms are very, very strong under the influence of the Aachen Chapel. As you can see, this mill has also been placed in such a manner that this will cover the farms that are behind here, as it's the vills that get inspired, not the farms. Then, once you have a good handful of units, you can start to do some aggression. You can also just wait and get more, but I would really advise you to do more aggression if there's an opening for it. If your opponent's going for something like second town center, then it's the usual. 3 rams at 11 minutes with about 40 units. That's your timing. And those 3 rams are pushing that TC. If you're looking at something like a fast castle, you could look to get a faster blacksmith. So that would be your third building here. So barracks, archer range, blacksmith, get siege engineering, take down the tower, whatever it is, and then just lock down their resources. You can also play just full units, just lock down their food, and they won't really have a way of doing much against your army because you have such strong melee units. Their melee units in Castle Age aren't necessarily going to be the best. So yep, as you can see, third barracks gets added in here. We are adding in more houses, more farms, and now we're also rallying a little bit more to wood. So we're doing a 50-50 split between wood and food. Again, this is just against AI, so there's not much to see here, but as you can see, we're just going around the front here, using our mobility to just patrol as fast as we can, using our scout to get that vision that we need, and then we're just going to try to be as annoying as possible while we build up our army. We don't really have like an objective such as diving woodlines and stuff, because we want to preserve unit preservation is quite important, because you want to build up a force where you have that timing attack. So that's what you're trying to aim for here. Again, we've added in another archer range, so we have double barrack, double archer range, then we're going to go blacksmith after. Usually people like to go barrack, archer range, blacksmith, and then just upgrade their range units. That's a really strong way of playing it. You can also play just double barracks and double archer range. It's really up to you how you want to approach it. I think if you're moving in for a timing, such as siege engineering, you don't necessarily need ranged attack, because if you're going to go for 3 rams against the second town center, you're most likely going to be overwhelming anyways, because they won't have enough units. But again, those upgrades are still very important, so get them for sure. Alright, now we're getting our blacksmith. We've put a few more to gold, so we had 2 to 3 on gold before, now we have 4. And that's going to give us our ranged armor and then our siege engineering, and we can go for our timing later. So yeah, there's not really much more to it. We're 10 minutes into the game. We have 46 units. Those 46 units are all in the front already, and they're just constantly being rallied forward out of these 4 buildings. So the economy is incredibly strong. Most civs can't really get this many units. We have 55 now at minute 11, so 15 units in just 1 minute. It's really, really fast, and one of the best builds to go for at the moment with HRE. So if you were to learn one build order with them, this is the one. The next build I'm going to be showing you is going to be a 2 town center build. HRE, again, with their inspiration, can get an incredibly fast second town center. Some people go all the way down to like 415, 420, but I think you can train to just get a really stable 430 second town center where you feel really good about that. So you build, as usual, with the same dark age opener that we had in the previous build order. 1 to house, 1 to mining camp, and then 1 to mine gold. Just try to not have a villager that goes back here, but you should really be fine if you just drop off at the mining camp. Then you just rally sheep. So it's the same as before, a 3-3 split, and then you rally sheep, and then you're going to be aging up at about 2 minutes. The difference here is, instead of keeping our vills on gold, we're then going to take those vills the moment we have 3,800 gold left in the mine, so we know that we have that 200 gold that we need to age up. Then we take those 4 vills and we move them over to stone, and we take another one from the sheep pool and put it on stone, so we have a total of 4 villagers on stone, because that's going to give you exactly what you need for the timing of the second town center at 4:30. There are different builds as well, where you can go for an Aachen Chapel literally on top of the stone, but those are very niche, as they happen only if you have a good spawn for it, and you're only saving a few seconds on it anyways, so I wouldn't really bother too much with it. I'd rather just practice a classic mining camp opener here, instead of the Aachen Chapel, and you can't really do it if you don't have stone or wood together. As you can see, 2 on the mining camp, 2 more here to stone, so we have a total of 4. We leave 3 on food. If a prelate is inspiring 3 food villages, that's the same as having 4 food villages. And we all know that we need 4 villas on food to constantly produce villages. And so just have your prelate in this area, and he's going to inspire these, and they're going to perform better. You're going to H up with 2 villages on the landmark. Again, your H up should come around 2 minutes to 2:10. That's when you're starting to H up. This is going to then let you get to Feudal Age at about 4:30, and then immediately have the resources you need. What's really important here, don't delete your straggler trees. It's like the English build order. If you delete your straggler trees, you're going to be stuck gathering wood over from the wood line, and that's a lot of extra idle time. What you're going to be doing is you're just going to gather each straggler tree one by one, and then once you have 850 stone left in the stone mine, you should also have the wood, and then you drop that second town center. So let's fast forward a little bit here, which is rallying onto our wood. Leave that 3 on food, leave that 4 on gold. Leave those 2 on the H-up. Nothing fancy here. Just Hing up with villagers being rallied onto the wood here. Only straggler trees. Don't build the lumber camp. Don't, speed up the Aachen Chapel for more wood. Just play it simple. Build a house with a stone mill. Go on to the last straggler tree here. And then once that's H gathered, you can then build the second TC. Just watch out for those straggler trees. Sometimes they bug out and prompt your villagers to go somewhere else. So that's something to watch out for. We're just also taking our prelate, going back and forth here, inspiring. And then now we're approaching our H-up time. Let's slow it down a bit. We can see the H-up comes through. We pull our stone vills, and we have 850 left. And then we build the second TC pretty much immediately here. Second TC drop with 2 tile space in between the farms towards the back. Again, if you didn't have gold here, I would just build the second TC up here instead. You want to have this as safe as possible. If you're up against somebody else who's playing second TC, you would usually scout that ahead of time. Let's say you're up against English, and you decided to play 2 town center for some reason in that matchup. Well, that second town center, you could have put it out here on the deer and the gold instead. That's going to give you a faster timing for potential Burgrave or Regnitz or whatever it is that you want to do in the Castle Age. So now that you're Hing up, building the second TC after having H'd up, there's really not much more to it. You can play Feudal here if you want to. You can also play Castle Age. If you're up against something like Malians, it can be a good idea to start making some units in Feudal Age, just to prompt them to make more defensive units, and then you get your farms built. But what I like to try to aim for is about 12 farms at around minute 9 when you're going to be Hing up with Burgrave. The reason you want to go for the Burgrave is because you can't really go Regnitz here in most scenarios. Some scenarios you will, and if you're lower league for sure, you can decide to play that greedy. There's no reason to. Burgrave units are really, really good when you have 2 town centers and a full farm setup, because they help you secure the relics. So you can either go for an all-in with them, just keep building army and army and army, and then have them help you get into that relic gameplay. Or you can go for the all-in. So that's really up to you. Here I'm sending a few stone. I'm getting a tower. Towers just because a lot of times people come around with longbows or counter towers. So that's just what we're simulating here. And then we're going to upgrade the tower afterwards with the stone we've gathered. Nothing wrong in gathering a little bit more stone. You can always build more defenses. As you are HRE, you will usually do that. We're adding in more and more farms. We have about 10 on wood. And then we're just adding in more, walling a bit. So a very, very simple defense here. You want to try to minimize the amount of time you're in Feudal Age, but you also don't want to have too few farms when it comes to defending and Hing up and stuff, because you will need those farms in the long run as well. And under the Aachen Chapel, they're usually very, very effective. Get your upgrades, especially like wheelbarrow, horticulture, and double broadaxe. All those upgrades are super, super important, because a big economy like this, those upgrades pay off a lot quicker than if you are in a 1 town center economy. So the return on investment is a lot faster. So get those upgrades, very important. Wall up like this, just keep adding in farms. I have about 12 farms, and around 9 minutes, I will be H'd up. Again, with the macro, it depends on the situation you're in. If you have twice as many sheep as I did here, or you have a deer pack here, you can put your second TC on. Your macro changes, and you won't need as many farms, and you might not need as many on food, and so on. But out of 9 minutes here, we have 12 farms. We're building a blacksmith for ranged armor. We're building a Burgrave palace here with 9 vills. You can build it with 8, you can build it with 10, depending on how fast you want it up. And then we're just adding in, with the remaining eco upgrades and the ranged armor, the ability now to go and collect relics. We have a second prelate in construction now, in training, and that prelate, together with the one from the Aachen Chapel, would then go out and grab the relics if it's safe to do so. If it's not safe, don't go out preemptively. Get your units first, then grab the relics. That's the whole point of getting the Burgrave. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You played out from here, you should be fine and find some success with this in some particular matchups. It's not every matchup. Usually you do want to play aggressive or fast castle, which we're going to be taking a look at now. The last build we're going to take a look at is the fast castle build, and the fast castle build is sort of the classic conceptualization of HRE. HRE usually is theorized as being the best fast castle civ because going Imperial feels so good, but it's very rare that you end up in a situation where you can just go free Imperial without having some sort of attack coming towards you. So the difficult part about this build and playing fast castle in general is you're only going to do it if it's not good for you to go aggro. So aggro into a timing is always better, unless you are up in a matchup such as against the English, where you want to go fast castle into Imperial. A lot of the times you might say, okay, I'm going to go fast up, and then I'm going to make units, and then not stop make those units, because you continue to make units if you need to. You just have to remove that internalized voice that a lot of HRE players have that says, okay, I got to go imp, I got to go castle, but if I die, then what? Yeah, but I have to do it. No, you will die. So watch out. Make an evaluation when you play. Can you go fast castle here, or can you not? If you have found 0 sheep, you will need a lot more farms, which delays your castle age. And so if your opponent's playing aggressive, it sucks. But if your opponent's not playing aggressive, you can move out in the map, and so you make a difference, a different decision there, depending on your situation. So access to gold, and especially access to food, is very important. So what I'm going to try to do here with this build is to provide you a build that gives you a good timing and gives you the safety that you need to H up, whilst also being easy on the food by adding in a few farms. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up with our classic opener. We've got the 3 in food, we've got the 3 in gold. We have our prelate going to the gold once, and then we're just rallying onto food. So it's the same opener as I showcased before. It gives you a nice fast timing, as I've said before, 2 minutes. And it makes it also easier for you to adapt, so you can tell, okay, I need to go aggressive, I need to go 2-C, I need to go fast up. Like, you can make that decision based off what you scout and what your opponent is doing. So more educated decisions can be made here without committing too quickly to a build that you might lose with. All right. So we leave our 3 on gold. We have our prelate going to inspire them. We're Hing up with 4 here. We have 3 on food. And then what we're going to do is we're going to send 3 to wood. The reason we're sending 3 to wood is because they're going to gather this whole straggler tree, and then they're going to gather 1 round of stone from the stone outcropping here. And that's going to give you the wood for a house, the wood for a tower, and the stone you need for an emplacement for your tower. And so that's enough for the defense. Sometimes you might want to go double tower, but it's not necessarily needed in most matchups. Just be aware of that. Most of the cases, that is when your opponent does a counter tower. So if they pull a bill and they build a tower here, you have your tower over here, then your tower can't defend against it, and so you might want to make a second one. That's usually the way you go about that. So we send a handful of bills to wood, 3 in total. We send 1 more to gold, and that gold bill will build the tower and then go to gold. And then that's pretty much the split. We have 4 on gold, we have the 3 here on wood that go to stone, and then afterwards go to sheep, and then the 4 from the HRE will go in the wood. So these 4 vills here on the wood are gonna give us the wood that we need to get farms, and you're just gonna add farms with your sheep vills whenever possible. By leaving the 4 on the wood line, you will constantly be able to cycling farms without it tapping away too much at your food source and your wood source. So tower upgrade with the stone that you collect here. This is what's important. Just go for that long distance gather with these vills once. I'm building a house here as the tower here is not quite finished. And then I'm going to drop off the stone. 3 vills gathering 1 round is enough for the emplacement. Then afterwards, every time I get enough wood here, I'm going to add in a farm. House is through, farm comes through. I've added in a second prelate. I like to do that here at around 4 minutes, because that second prelate just goes on the gold, and then you can full garrison the tower, but most importantly, that second prelate will help us grab the relics once we're going to Castle Age. Second farm, about 4:30, and then the third farm at about 5 minutes in. We're just going to continuously add them until about 5-6 farms, and then we add in production, because then our timing is going to come through with the Castle Age. You're just going to continuously rally onto sheep. By rallying onto sheep continuously here, and having your 4 gold bills inspired, you're going to get a very nice 6 minutes and 20 seconds-ish timing. And that's what you're looking for. Because if you're too slow, the enemy's all-in's going to come through, and they might also go up and get the relics before you. But if you are too fast, you might run out of food. So this is sort of a nice balance with these 4 farms here, which is exactly what a lot of HRE players struggle with when they are trying to play Fast Castle is, oh no, I'm out of food, I have to go on berries, but my berries is locked down by enemy units, and so I die. So that's something you want to watch out for. By playing it like this, you sort of avoid it. You don't eat as much sheep. So here at 6:20, we're going to have pretty much identical, so what should you say, synchronized resources, which is going to give you the Castle Age. So here we have the gold, we drop off the food, we age up with 8 vills, and then those 8 villagers afterwards, they will go to the wood. We're just going to continuously rally onto the food here, and then we're going to get a stable. So very simple. Age up here is basically just getting a stable here. So you wait for the food, the wood you need. You don't build more than the 5 farms, and then you drop the stable. The stable is really good on an open map, as it's going to allow you to take relics. Extra mobility is really nice for raiding as well. So just in general, try to use those knights actively. If you just sit in your base, you should not go knights. They're not a defensive unit. They're meant for aggression. They are what helps you secure those relics with the prelates. So take relics. Use those knights. If your opponent's playing 2 town center, make 1 or 2 knights. Go fast Imperial instead. If your opponent's playing more aggressive, or they're playing Castle Age themselves, then go way heavier on the knights, lock down their food sources, and then maybe play into archers if they're going mass crossbow and spear. That can be a really, really solid way of employing a sort of French-English comp thing, where you have archers and knights that sort of counter the counter units. And that's a really strong way to play the Castle Age as well, going with knights and archers. We see that with Roost Fast Castle. If they don't go horse archers, they usually go knight archer. So it's quite common to go for that. Here, I think I make 4, 5, 6 knights. I'm going to raid with them. I think that's a really strong thing to do. Especially against sort of those mid-range players, those low-level players. They usually struggle lots against it, and it makes them incredibly passive. And that's something that can work in your favor when you try to go for the Imperial Age. So we're slowly getting up to 4, 5, 6 knights. We're adding in a second stable, in the case that we want to continue to make knights. But now we've kind of stopped the production, and we go next stage. We've also added 3 to stone. The 3 on stone is really good because you will be building more towers. The towers is an integral part of defending a fast Imperial. If you don't have the towers, you're probably going to struggle quite a lot when it comes to dealing with the all-in that might happen as a result of you prompting unit production with your knights. So just have those towers ready to upgrade, put the relics inside of them, and you can do really well in the defense and have your Swabia help you come back on the vills that you might be behind. The Swabia accounts for 3 town centers in total, so you'll end up with 4 with your main one. If you get like 2, 3 relics, that's more than fine. If you get 4 or 5, we usually say that is a concluded game already. That's a lot of resources that you get, because every relic is 160 gold, and then on top of that you get tithe barns, which is another equivalent of 2 vills. So every relic is about what is that, 6 villages for HRE. So 6 times 5 is quite a lot of gold, and yeah, 30 villagers on top is nice. Swabia comes in, try to put it on the wood line, as that's where you're usually going to be rallying onto. Have your relics sit inside of your towers, build more towers, get that stone you need to upgrade the towers, and then start transitioning into the counter unit you need. So if they're doing mass spear or mass crossbow, just get, you know, archers yourself, but if you can go full man at arms, that's also really good for your economy, as you will start to have more and more farms here. Now is also a good time to get your economy upgrades, because you're no longer saving resources for a faster timing. Get them now, it's really, really important. And then get your military upgrades as well for the defense. It's sort of a balance there, but you definitely don't want to die, so prioritize defense, of course. But if there's no threat, just economy, let's go. We're getting up here at about 12:30. There isn't a golden, like, timing, whether that's 11 minutes or 13. It's more a feeling, so to speak. So if you're in a defensive situation, you might need to invest more into defense. But if you are in a really good control situation where you're raiding and you keep your opponent back and they can't punish you, and you have your towers ready to be upgraded, like this one here, then go up. Whether that's 13, 14, 15 minutes in. You just don't want to die when you do so. So, be proactive with your knights, get up behind it, and then you're fine. Sometimes you have to make the decision to stay in castle, and that's absolutely fine. If you have the relics, and you're staying in castle, your economy is still going to be better than another one town center economy. So, just go for that, I would say. It is probably the best way to play it. Anyways, that's pretty much it for me today. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Check out the build orders that are in the description. And yeah, if you're interested in coaching, there will be something about that now. So, have a happy holiday.